We are going to start with lecture 3, which is on geomorphic processes. And as always, you can download this document from Telegram channel, the IS Lab. और इस लेक्चर को स्टार्ट करने से पहले लेट्स हैव अ क्विक रिकैप व्हाट वी स्टडीड इन लेक्चर 2. So lecture 2 was about interior of Earth, where we saw structure of Earth's interior, जहाँ पे हमने क्रस्ट मेंटल कोर के बारे में पढ़ाई की. फर्दर क्लासिफिकेशन देखा क्रस्ट मेंटल कोर का into different subsections, that is the upper crust, lower crust, the upper mantle, lower mantle, the outer core and the inner core. Then we again studied about the composition of earth, minerals, rocks types. हमने sedimentary rock, igneous rocks और metamorphic rocks के बारे में पढ़ाई की. Then we studied about earthquakes, where we studied about earthquake waves, P wave, S wave, L wave, R wave. Then we studied about the shadow zones. हमने distribution भी देखा. फिर हमने वॉल्केनोज एंड वॉल्केनिक लैंडफॉर्म्स के बारे में पढ़ाई की. फिर हमने देखा उनके कॉजेज़ क्या हैं, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन क्या है, क्लासिफिकेशन क्या है, इंट्रूसिव क्या लैंडफॉर्म्स क्या होते हैं, एक्सट्रूसिव लैंडफॉर्म्स क्या होते हैं, वो भी हमने देखा. फिर हमने पढ़ाई की अर्थ जियोमैग्नेटिक फील्ड के बारे में, जहाँ पे हमने कॉजेज़ देखे जियोमैग्नेटिक फील्ड के, हमने रिवर्सल्स देखे, हमने पोल्स के बारे में जाना, हमने सिग्निफिकेंस देखा, हमने वैन एलन बेल्ट रेडिएशन के बारे में पढ़ाई की. देन वी डिड अ कंपैरिजन ऑफ सोलर विंड, सोलर स्टॉर्म एंड सोलर फ्लेयर. So this was all about our interior of Earth, chapter 2, which we studied. Let's quickly just see the images in this document so that a continuity is maintained and we are able to recall what we studied in our previous lecture. So this was the basic structure. Crust mantle core हमने पढ़ाई की. फिर हमने further classification देखा, upper mantle, lower mantle, outer core, inner core, and we drew a simple structure of interior of Earth for our understanding. Then we saw sources of Earth's interior, direct sources, indirect sources. Then composition of Earth, crust, and then some major minerals such as feldspar, quartz, pyroxene, amphibole, mica. Till here we studied. Then we studied about metallic minerals, non-metallic minerals. Then we studied about rocks, types of rocks. Then classification based on solidification, that is intrusive or extrusive rocks. Then we saw difference between granite, basalt, and these are the extrusive rocks and these are the intrusive rocks, and their differences, their grain size, and all those facts. Now we also saw that about chemical composition, the classification of rocks based on chemical composition: acidic, basic, felsic, mafic, ultramafic. Then sedimentary rocks, their types, form, how they are formed, or mechanically, organically, and chemically. Then we saw metamorphic rocks, where we saw foliated and non-foliated rocks. Foliated rocks are rocks with layers and non-foliated rocks do not have any layer. Then this chart we saw where the rock is transformed into metamorphic rocks, and the type of it was a rock it was earlier, then the change. For example, limestone was a sedimentary rock. It transforms into marble as a metamorphic rocks under high extreme temperature and pressure. Then this is basic information of basalt is an igneous rock which on metamorphism converts into hornblende, a type of rock. Then we saw earthquakes, hypocenter, epicenter. Then we saw a comparison between P, S, L and R waves. Then we saw the shadow zone of S wave, the shadow zone of P wave. Then volcanoes and volcanic landforms, magma type based on silica percentage, causes of eruption, classification of volcanoes, distribution of volcanoes. All right, classification based on periodicity, active, dormant and extinct volcanoes. Then classification of volcanoes based on structure. We saw shield volcano, flood basalt. And then types of eruption: Icelandic, Hawaiian, Strombolian, Pelian and Vulcanian, Plinian. Then we saw the distribution. This is the mid-continental belt, and this is mid-oceanic ridges in the oceans. Then we saw the intrusive landforms: batholith, lopolith, dike, phacolith, laccolith, sill. All right. Then finally we saw Earth's geomagnetic field. We studied about how this geomagnetic field is developed, and we saw its causes, the formation causes, then how geomagnetic poles reverses, Then significance of geomagnetic field, they block solar winds, auroras are formed, navigation, they help in navigation, they help in developing seafloor spreading theory. And then finally we studied about Van Allen belt radiation. And then the final thing which we drew a comparison between solar wind, solar storm, solar flare. तो यहाँ तक तो क्लियर है कि हमने क्या क्या पढ़ाई की, हमने एक बार रिवाइज कर लिया और हमने एक बार देख लिया कि हमने क्या क्या पढ़ा। अब हम आ जाते हैं अपने लेक्चर 3 पे, जो आज का हमारा लेक्चर है, जो कि है जियोमॉर्फिक प्रोसेसेस के ऊपर। सबसे पहले हमें 3 बेसिक टर्मिनोलॉजी देखनी है, जिसमें से पहली है जियोमॉर्फिक। जियोमॉर्फिक यहाँ मतलब जियोमॉर्फिक फीचर से है। जियोमॉर्फिक फीचर्स वो फीचर्स होते हैं जो अर्थ के सरफेस पे यानी क्रस्ट पे फॉर्म होते हैं एंड ऑल्सो इनसाइड द अर्थ। फॉर एग्जाम्पल यहाँ पे हमने माउंटेन्स मेंशन किया है, लेक्स मेंशन किया है, वाटरफॉल मेंशन किया है। दीज आर जियोमॉर्फिक फीचर्स। जियो मीन्स अर्थ, मॉर्फिक मीन्स फॉर्म, सो अर्थ फॉर्म। Next we have another terminology which is geomorphic agent. These are agents or these are medium which form the geomorphic features. For example such as rivers, winds, glaciers, waves, etc. तो ये जो जियोमॉर्फिक एजेंट्स हैं ये हेल्प करते हैं हमारे जियोमॉर्फिक फीचर्स को फॉर्म करने में। अब जियोमॉर्फिक प्रोसेसेस क्या होते हैं, जियोमॉर्फिक फोर्सेस और जियोमॉर्फिक प्रोसेसेस, दीज आर द प्रोसेसेस विच आर carried out by these agents, these medium these processes are carried such as folding, faulting, weathering. These are carried by these agents which ultimately form the geomorphic features. All right. तो हमने यहाँ पे 3 टर्मिनोलॉजीज देखी, जियोमॉर्फिक फीचर्स, जियोमॉर्फिक एजेंट और प्रोसेसेस। फीचर्स फाइनल रिजल्ट होते हैं जिन्हें फॉर्म करते हैं एजेंट्स। एजेंट्स जो होते हैं एक प्रोसेस फॉलो करते हैं जो कि जियोमॉर्फिक प्रोसेसेस कहलाते हैं, सच एज फोल्डिंग, फॉल्टिंग, वेदरिंग, इरोजन एट्सेट्रा। और ये जो प्रोसेसेस होते हैं ये या फिर ये जो फोर्सेस हैं, दे आर एज अ रिजल्ट ऑफ एंडोजेनेटिक और एक्सोजेनेटिक फोर्सेस। there are some forces which originate inside the earth, they lead to the formation of these features, and there are some exogenetic forces which form these geomorphic features. All right. Now let's move on to the classification of these geomorphic processes, which is the main title of our this lecture, which we will be studying. Now geomorphic processes and geomorphic forces, we can use them interchangeably from this point of time and onwards, and this one term also could be included here, that is movement. तो हम जियोमॉर्फिक प्रोसेसेस या फोर्सेस या मूवमेंट को इंटरचेंजेबली यूज़ कर सकते हैं अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए। अब हम इस क्लासिफिकेशन को देखते हैं। सो दिस जियोमॉर्फिक प्रोसेस इज डिवाइडेड इनटू 2 categories, that is the endogenic processes of forces or exogenic forces, we will say. Then this endogenic and exogenic is further divided. The endogenic is divided into diastrophism, catastrophism, and then diastrophism is again divided into aperogenic and orogenic. Now what is the first thing is that endogenic means that they are generated inside the earth. Now exogenic means that they are generated outside. These are the forces which act outside on the surface of earth. All right. फिर डायस्ट्रोफिज्म का मतलब होता है कि वो प्रोसेसेस जो स्लोली काम करती हैं, दे एक्ट वेरी स्लो, देयर रिजल्ट टेक्स टाइम, दैट इज द जियोमॉर्फिक फीचर दैट दे आर क्रिएटिंग, इट टेक्स टाइम. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ओरोजेनी मीन्स माउंटेन बिल्डिंग, सो माउंटेन बिल्डिंग टेक्स टाइम. At this present time also the Himalayas, they are their height is increasing at 2 to 3 centimeter per year, so that is a very slow speed that they are their height is increasing, that they are forming, still forming. तो हमने बात कर ली डायस्ट्रोफिज्म की स्लो होता है. एक होता है कैटास्ट्रोफिज्म. कैटास्ट्रोफिज्म इज रिलेटेड टू सडन एक्ट of forces such as volcanoes and earthquake. Now, these volcanoes also lead to formation of some geomorphic features, and earthquakes may also lead to formation of some features. They might not form a particular feature, but they lead to deformation of these features. All right. And then what are epeirogenic and orogenic? Epeirogenic means continent building forces, and orogenic means the mountain building forces. All right. One thing which we have to keep in mind from this point of onward, which will help us in further understanding this lecture, that is the epeirogenic forces act vertically. That is, either they are upward or they are downward. And orogenic forces, they are horizontal forces. They are tensional or compressional forces. All right. Now, talking about exogenic forces. Exogenic forces are those forces which act on the surface of Earth. They can be further classified into weathering and erosion and deposition. Now, weathering and erosion is the basic difference between weathering and erosion is, first let us know what is the similarity. The similarity is that they lead to wear and tear of rocks. All right, they lead to wear and tear of rocks, but the difference is weathering is an in situ phenomena. That is, the weathering occurs at the site. At for example, there is a rock and it breaks down, and the material which is broken down, the broken parts are still there. This is weathering. They are not transported. This is a basic difference that is between weathering and erosion, that the material is transported in erosion, and in weathering the material is still there near the site where these phenomena occur. And what are these are agents which carry out the erosion and deposition processes. That is, the transportation is involved. And here we have classification of physical, chemical and biological weatherings, which we will see further. तो अब यहाँ से हम आगे बढ़ते हैं. यहाँ पे हमने कुछ चीज़ें देख ली कि जियोमॉर्फिक प्रोसेसेस होते हैं वो दो पार्ट में डिवाइडेड होते हैं. एक एंडोजेनिक होते हैं, एक एक्सोजेनिक होते हैं. एंडोजेनिक में एक स्लो प्रोसेस होता है, एक फास्ट प्रोसेस होता है जिसे हम सडन एक्ट कहते हैं. फिर जो स्लो प्रोसेस है उसमें दो क्लासिफिकेशन है, या तो कॉन्टिनेंट बिल्डिंग होगी या तो ओरोजेनिक होगा यानी माउंटेन बिल्डिंग होगी. कॉन्टिनेंट बिल्डिंग में जो फोर्सेस काम करती हैं वो वर्टिकल काम करती हैं, और जो माउंटेन बिल्डिंग में फोर्सेस काम करती हैं वो कंप्रेशनल एंड टेंशनल रहती हैं. दैट दिस इज़ द रीज़न वाई द हिमालयाज आर फोल्ड माउंटेन्स, बिकॉज ऑफ ड्यू टू कंप्रेशनल फोर्सेस. Now there are another type of mountains which are known as block mountains, which are as a result of tension, but also the block mountains can be a result of compression as well. But fold mountains such as Himalayas, they are a result of compressional forces. All right, and then we saw exogenic forces, जिसमें हमने देखा weathering और इरोजन और डिपोजिशन हमने देखा. वेदरिंग हमने फिजिकल, केमिकल और बायोलॉजिकल सेपरेशन देखा, इसके बारे में हम पढ़ेंगे. और इरोजन एंड डिपोजिशन में हमने देखा कि एजेंट्स क्या क्या हैं. रिवर्स हैं, ग्लेशियर्स हैं, वेव करंट्स हैं, इवेंट्स हैं, अंडरग्राउंड वाटर है, जैसे अंडरग्राउंड की फॉर्मेशन होती है कास्ट टोपोग्राफी में. एंड रिवर्स ऑल्सो दे फॉर्म द वाटरफॉल, दे फॉर्म वैलीज, दे फॉर्म what do you call it, canyons. And then there are glacial landforms. All right, now moving on to next section, that is we will first study about endogenic geomorphic processes. Our first topic is endogenic geomorphic processes or forces. Now what does endogenic geomorphic means? Here is the breakup of this word. Endo means inside, genic means origin, geo means earth, morphic means form. These two we already discussed. Now endogenic means the forces that originate from inside the earth and they form the geomorphic features. All right, what we have to see is what is the reason behind these forces, how these forces work actually. तो सबसे पहली चीज़ क्या होती है कि जो अल्टीमेट सोर्स है अर्थ का वो है उसकी इंटरनल हीट एज वेल एज इसकी रेसिडुअल हीट. रेसिडुअल हीट वो हीट है व्हेन अर्थ वाज कूलिंग, during its cooling period there is still some heat left, due to which there we see volcanic eruptions and all other things, that the outer core is liquid. but the main reason because the outer core is liquid is that there is a radioactive decay, but there is some amount of residual heat as well. Now what happens is the forces they originate, they ultimately move the tectonic plates. We know what tectonic plates are. They are lithospheric plates. These lithospheric plates, due to their movement, they create forces or they create pressure, due to which there are some events which take place and they result into the formation of geomorphic features. Now another reason for this is that there is a temperature and pressure difference between different layers of earth. For example, this is our earth's interior. Anything which is, suppose this is inner core. Inner core is at immense pressure. This much of weight is acting on the inner core. And if we see outer core is liquid, although there is much pressure, but it is liquid due to the radioactive materials. And because of these radioactive materials, the temperature is so high that even the pressure which is such that it cannot keep it in a solid state, it is in liquid state, the outer core. So what we see here is the outer core is liquid, the inner core is solid. So there is a pressure difference as well as a temperature difference, and here the temperature is very high, here the pressure is very high. So this is what it is written here. There is a temperature and pressure difference between the layers of earth, which leads to a density difference, and convectional currents are originate. What are convectional currents? That is that convectional currents are currents which originate in this form, circular motion, and they again go at this point and they cool. With respect to this point, they are at a cooler place in this here, so they come down and they again heat up and they again go. So this is the convectional process which starts, and the lithospheric plates, they are over these convectional currents, and when these currents move, they tend to move along with these currents. So these currents are ultimately moving this tectonic plates, and the currents which are a result of density difference and pressure and temperature difference, and ultimately leading to geomorphic forces, which in turn form the geomorphic features on Earth's surface or interior of Earth. As we studied, drive lithospheric plate, the convectional currents, they drive the lithospheric plates, and this is what we studied. Another reason for the endogenetic forces origin is the Coriolis force. What is Coriolis force? Coriolis force is a force which generates due to the rotation of Earth. When Earth rotates from west to its east, this force is generated, which tends to move, for example, wind into the right direction if it's blowing in the northern hemisphere, and towards left, left would be this side, so towards left if it is in the southern hemisphere. So this Coriolis force not only acts on the wind or any moving object on northern and southern hemisphere, but it acts on the convectional currents as well. So they influence the direction of the convectional current, which in turn change the direction of the tectonic plates movements, and the forces change direction, and this leads to different types of geomorphic features location. All right, now we need to see the classification of these endogenetic processes. These endogenetic processes are divided into diastrophic and catastrophic. इस चीज को हमने पहले भी देखा है. डायस्ट्रोफिक वो प्रोसेसेस होते हैं जो स्लो होते हैं, स्लोली बिल्डिंग होते हैं, जैसे कि ओरोजेनी होती है हमारी माउंटेन बिल्डिंग होती है, एपिरोजेनी होती है हमारी कॉन्टिनेंट बिल्डिंग. ठीक है. फिर हमारा कैटास्ट्रोफिक प्रोसेस होता है विच इज सडन प्रोसेस, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अर्थक्वेक्स, एंड हमारे पास दूसरा है दी वोल्केनोज. क्लियर. सो दिस इज द क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ एंडोजेनेटिक फोर्सेस. These two forces result into the formation of continents and mountains. Now let us see what are diastrophic processes. Diastrophic processes are slow movement leading to elevation or building up of Earth's crust. Now building up Earth's crust mean या तो माउंटेन फॉर्मेशन हो रहा है या फिर कॉन्टिनेंट फॉर्मेशन हो रहा है, ठीक है। अब दी movements that are involved in these diastrophic processes, which are slow processes, one is warping. We will see what warping is. Then the second is folding. Then there is faulting. Then there is upliftment or subsiding of Earth's crust. This is related to epeirogeny, which means continent building. And these three are related to orogeny, that is, you can say mountain building. But in these three, one of this is warping. What is warping? Warping is the deformation of Earth's crust, and there are two types of warping. The first one is up warping, and the second one is down warping. And as I told you that these forces act in the upward or the downward direction. What happens here is that warping acts on a very large area, and what happens that is the when there is a force from inside the earth, some portions of the earth's crust it uplifts and the other remains at its own position. This is upwarping. And in downwarping, what happens is that there is a basin created, and the upper part which you see here, the lifted part, it is the part which stays where it is, but there is a subsidence or downward movement of the alternate layers which we are seeing here. So this is downwarping, and upwarping which happens at a very large scale. And here you can see the layering. When the force is from the upward direction, so there is upwarping, you can see the layers going up, and here you can see the layers going down. And why this happens is that one reason is because of isostatic adjustment. Now what is isostatic adjustment? We can we have an image which we can understand here. So this is isostatic uplift. What is isostatic uplift? Isostatic uplift is readjustment of weight. For example, this mantle, it is in semi molten state, and what happens, for example, somewhere here there is increased weight. How can there be an increased weight? For example, in polar regions there is extreme we can say there is a period going of ice age, and there is a huge layering of ice which increases the weight here. Since the mantle is in a semi molten state, it presses this portion of mantle, and the mantle from this portion it goes somewhere else, and what it does is it readjusts itself, and to create a balance it pushes this continental crust upwards, which results into upliftment of this portion. We will study this isostatic uplift as well. This is the reason which we will study in epeirogenic movements, where we studied about the upward and downward movement. This isostatic uplift, which we see that the adjustment of weight on the earth's crust leads to upward and downward movement. One reason is this. The other reason could be in epeirogeny, which we study, that is this mid-oceanic ridge. You see there is an upliftment. There is no horizontal motion of forces. The forces are acting vertically, which leads to mid-oceanic ridge formation. So this also comes under epeirogeny. Now we were talking about the warping. The warping, one reason is the isostatic uplift, which results into the upward or downward movement, the upwarping or downwarping. Now talking about folding. Folding is bending of rock layers, which happens at a localized region or a very local level on a small scale, compared to warping. We will see this image. Now folding is, this is the different layers of rock which we were talking about, and these are bent. You can see the bending of these rock layers are known as folding. And the other term which is there is faulting. Faulting is development of cracks. There is a fault, that means there is a crack, or you can say there is a fracture between the layers of earth. All right, now from our exams perspective, the two most important things are this folding and faulting. So let's study about them. Now we were talking about the endogenetic forces. Endogenetic forces are divided into orogeny and epirogeny. All right. Now orogeny is a process which leads to formation of mountains, that is the mountain building process, and these forces operate in horizontal manner, and they could be called as in a tangential manner. And further, these horizontal motion can be in opposite direction, that is the one force is acting in this way and the other force is acting in this way. This could create a tensional force or divergent force which creates a rupture. All right. Now how can this opposite direction movement can happen? For example, again, this is endogenetic forces, so somewhere the reason behind it is tectonic movements. Now what happens is, suppose there is one tectonic plate here and one tectonic plate here. Let's suppose only one tectonic plate. Now there is a convectional current which we talked about, the molten magma, and one is moving in this direction, one is moving in this direction. What happens? It creates a tensional force in this layer. Now this layer eventually it ruptures because of the pulling force of this convectional current. And one reason is that how this fracture is developed, that is the tension leads to the fault development or crack development when the forces are in opposite direction. These are tensional and divergent forces. Now sometimes the forces act towards each other face to face, and these are compressional forces creating faults. So opposite direction usually creates faults, but the compressional force will always create faults. All right. The faults are created due to only compressional force, but the fractures or the faults can be created either due to opposite direction, that is either tensional forces or compressional forces. So faults can be result of compression as well as tension, but faults are a result of your compression. So when the forces are acting in this way, then only the folding occurs. But even if there is a compressional force, the cracking can occur. For example, there we have Narmada Rift Valley. When the Indian subcontinent collided with the Eurasian subcontinent, so there was a fault developed. So this was a compressional force. When the Indian subcontinent collided with the European continent, so there was the thrust was such that there developed a crack, and this portion it subsided down and it created a rift valley. So fault can be generated due to either a tensional force or a compressional force, but the fault is created due to compressional force only. Now there are different types of faults as well as there are different types of faults which leads to formation of mountains, that is orogeny. Faults usually lead to formation of block mountains, and this folding leads to formation of fold mountains such as the Himalayas, or the oldest mountains, one of the oldest mountains which we have on earth are Aravalis. All right. Now talking about block mountains can be of different types. Generation, the formation could be in different ways. For example, this fault, one fault is there, one fault is here. So there could be if we talk about the fault types, so there are two types of fault. One is reverse faulting, one is normal faulting. Now what is the difference between reverse fault and normal fault? It depends upon the movement of hanging wall block. What is the hanging wall block? There are two ways which you can tell what is a hanging wall. The one is that, and the simple one, that when you stand a person, a human, in this fault zone, the portion above its head would be called a hanging wall, and the portion below his feet would be called a footwall. Similarly here, if there is if you stand a person in this fault line, so the rock lying below his feet would be called a footwall, and the rock above its head would be called a hanging wall. But sometimes it becomes difficult, so a easier explanation is that if there is a fault zone, if there is a fault, So this portion will always be called as above, this and the in the slant portion this will be called as below. So this is considered as foot wall and this is called as the hanging wall. All right, even if this is the direction of fault, the above one will be called the hanging wall and this one will be called as the foot wall. All right, to understand this, now this will help us understanding the normal fault and reverse fault. Now when there is a normal fault, what happens is the hanging wall goes down and the foot wall goes upwards. All right, and in reverse fault what happens is the hanging wall goes up in the upward direction and the foot wall goes in the downward direction. This is the difference between the normal fault and the hanging fault. There is one type more fault which I did not tell you. The one is the strike slip fault. This happens when the two blocks of the two blocks of lithosphere along with the crack, they may not be a lithospheric block, they may be a portion of earth's crust. So along the, if there is a fault and these two blocks move in opposite direction, this is called a strike slip fault. All right, this is a straight fault and this is an inclined fault. So when the hanging wall goes up, it is called as the reverse fault. When the hanging wall goes down, it is called as the normal faulting. Now let's talk about folding. Folding, as we talked about, that folding is the bending of rock layers. Now there are different layers, different types of folding that occurs. One thing is there that there is a axial plane along which we defined the types of folds. One is the symmetrical fold. Symmetrical fold means there are the adjacent part of this fold is called as limb. So this is one limb, this is the second limb. In symmetrical fold what happens is these two limbs are equal in length, therefore they are called symmetrical fold, because along the axial plane they form a symmetry. But when there is a asymmetrical fold, one side would be longer, that is they have a different length, this is longer and this is shorter. So one limb is shorter and the other limb is longer, so this is an asymmetrical fold. Now what is an overfold? Overfold, what happens is there is a bending of one layer over the other layer, but keep in mind that this bending is not you will say that in 180-degree, or we could say it does not becomes parallel. But what happens in a recumbent fault, one limb becomes parallel to the other limb, so this becomes our recumbent fault. And there is the overfold, there is a slight tilt in the one limb, and there is a parallel, the one limb becomes parallel in recumbent fault. All right, now there are two more things, that is the anticline and syncline. Anticline is this portion when it is in this direction, and syncline is a depression. Anticline is a crest and syncline is a trough. All right, let's move ahead. So the next thing which we have to study is about the aperogenic. We have studied about orogeny, that is mountain building, and we studied about the folding and faulting and the different types of faulting, that is reverse fault, normal fault and slip strike fault. And then we studied about folding, where we studied about symmetrical fault, asymmetrical fault, overfold fault, and the recumbent fault. So these were the processes of mountain formation, and now we will study about the aperogeny, that is the continent forming forces. These forces are vertical in nature, that is either there is an upward motion or downward motion. If there is an upliftment, it is called as the emergence, and if there is a subsidence, it is called as submergence. Now here there is an image which we saw earlier, how aperogenic forces act. So one reason is this isostatic uplift, which leads to the upliftment of the continental crust. If there is an upliftment, as we saw that this is yes, the emergence. Suppose the earlier level was this much. Now after the upliftment, it has gone till this here. This is the new layer up till the upliftment. So there is an upliftment. For example, the mantle below this moves to somewhere else where there has been a reduction in weight over the crust. So the mantle will move here, not the mantle actually, the magma below a continental surface would move here to readjust the weight, so so that there is a balance created. All right, when this magma portion moves from here, there might occur a depression due to this weight, and there would be a downward movement of the continental crust, which we will call as which we saw that the as the subsidence. So here in this case there would be an emergence here. In this case, for example, if the magma moves from out here, there would be a subsidence. So this is one reason of aperogeny. And the other example could be this mid-oceanic ridges. Here we can see that there is a fissure eruption, and when there is a fissure eruption, what is the volcanic forces? They uplift the crust part in the sea. This is the seafloor spreading part, which we call it. Now these forces are acting vertically. So so this is considered as an example of aperogeny. To move further, we will see the second part of this endogenetic forces, that is the catastrophic forces, which are earthquakes, volcanoes, and landslides. They occur. They have a very sudden movement, so therefore they are called as catastrophic forces. Volcanoes form landforms, as we saw in the previous lecture, that is the intrusive and extrusive landforms. So they are in a way creating geomorphic features. Landslides also, there are different types of geomorphic features. We say there is a mud flow, there is a debris flow. So these are different types of landslides. And in earthquakes, we saw that there is a deformation of earth's crust. For example, faulting. If there is an earthquake and there is a fault occurs, then the fault may lead to formation of block mountains. So there is another geomorphic feature which is created due to earthquakes. So this ends our endogenetic forces. Now we have to move on to the exogenetic geomorphic processes. Exogenic or exogenetic, both these terms are similar, and here it might be written that exogenic, and I might call it exogenetic, but both these are same things. Now, what are exogenic forces?